Welcome to another great interview on the Better Topics channel. My name is Diana and I own the platform called Better Topics, which is basically a platform where we're helping couples experience more love, joy, and connection. Today's interview will be with Simon Isoa from the Getting Ahead podcast, who is a sales and marketing professional and also a self development coach. But before we're getting into today's topic, I just want to remind you about our amazing card game for couples called Better Topics. For those of you who want to get the game, you can do so from our products page on our own website, which is bettertopics.com, or from Amazon, US, UK, Australia, and Canada. For those of you who are not very keen on physical card games, we have you covered because we have also launched our Better Topics app, which can be found on both Google Play Store and Apple Store as well. Also, if you're using the code DI10, you will also get your first month off of our premium subscription. And now let's welcome our guest, Simon Isoa. Hi, Simon, and welcome on our platform today. I'm very glad to have you with us.
Thank you very much, Diana. I'm happy to be here as well.
So I've just given our audience, a very short bio of you, of who you are and what you do. Why don't you go ahead and tell us a bit more about what specifically do you do, especially as a self-development coach?
Okay, so I started out my career as a salesperson, and for most people who know much about sales, you know that it has to do a lot with coaching your direct line of reports on improving themselves, how they interact with customers, how they build relationships. So that's where actually I got to a good start on self improvement and coaching as well, because I was fortunate to have two line managers at the early stage of my career who helped me to develop myself and become a better person in communication and actually reading body languages. Because like research has actually proven humans are actually more of through body or physical activity more than just words. So decade. So I've actually come across a lot of people, colleagues, customers, difficult ones, and the ones who are easy to get along. And that has also helped me to build up my communication as well, which has actually helped me to go along the line of coaching too. So I'm also a digital marketing professional. I'm also into marketing. And you know the deal with when you have to be in sales and marketing, it's all about communication, interacting with people, dealing with different buyer personas, different personal characters, and all that. So that was what has helped me to build up my self improvement coaching ability. I still have a long way to go, of course, because every day is an opportunity to learn something new and develop yourself. And that's how I see life. That's how I view life. Everybody should try to be a better version of themselves every day, because that will have more positive impact on those around you in every aspect of your life. Only guy, I'm married. I have three kids, lovely children. So that as well has also helped me, because to interact with children can be quite difficult to get them to understand what you want, not what they want all the time as well. I've been married for about 10 years now.
Wow.
So I've been able to build up my communication skills with my wife as well, through ups and downs, because there will always be times when we disagree. But the most important thing is knowing how to come back together and work together even after a disagreement, not keeping it in mind and allowing it to destroy the relationships. So that's the background of me.
I really love that because I also had a job, in corporate for 7 years. And through my,
Yes.
management and leadership training, we had a lot of communication things as well included, how to talk with your team, how to get them excited about a project, how to stay on the project and, to meet all the deadlines and how to make them to be happy about it. So, they even maybe over
Yeah.
deliver at times when that's needed for the project and, go that extra mile. And many times I thought, why not use those same skills, in a relationship as well, where communication
Yeah.
should be quite important. I really love that.
Yes. Yeah, it's the same thing, because in every relationship, no matter whether it be a business relationship, formal, informal, romantic, communication is very important.
So why do you think is the case that, there are so many people that work even in leadership positions, and not necessarily, but with customers or with clients, or I mean, most jobs, they are customer facing anyway, but those people seem to have a good communication report, with customers, but not as much at home with their partner. Why do you think they don't use the same skills at home?
Yes, I think I had this discussion with a friend of mine, I think about 2 weeks ago. Because the business environment is quite different from the environment at home. Most times, I think you have this notion in your head. You're trying to drive at something when you're at the business environment. You're trying to close a sale, or you're trying to get a lead, or you're trying to generate revenue. There's always that at the back of your mind to say, okay, this is what I want. And so, therefore, whatever the obstacles, whatever the objections from the customer, I always look for a way to go around it and achieve that goal. Where most people fail, including myself, because I find myself sometimes guilty of that, is when you bring that home. It's a different prospect. Most people sometimes you switch off from that business mood. When you get to your partner in the house, you forget that there's also a goal in a relationship. It might not be monetary, it might not be promotion, you understand, but it's something
Yes.
that will help you and your partner to grow and be
Yes.
able to have this full-fledged relationship. Of course, there are always going to be disagreements, but the point there is that most times you look at it that, oh, I don't want to, or I'm tired, I'm thinking of work. What is the problem? Why are you always complaining about something? Why anything I do, you're always but most times we fail to actually get that feedback to say, okay, if my partner is always complaining about something, whether you feel is right or wrong, take out the time, listen to that, digest it, have that conversation with the partner and say, okay, why do you feel that I don't do this or that? And so that once both parties understand where you're coming from, what you're trying to
Exactly.
communicate.
Yes.
Yes, that once that explanation comes in, then there will now be next stage of clarification. Both parties will now be clear on what they want and what actually is the obstacles. Then after that, they now go to the next step of that's okay, negotiations, and also okay, this is what I think you should do, or this is what I can do. This is what you get. So it's really a challenge at home because it's difficult, or let me not say it's difficult. Is we tend to look at it as a different ball game. It is different, but there are still goals in both environments. At home, there's a goal. You want to make the other part, your partner, happy. You want to make your partner understand. You want to make your partner know this is why you are doing this, and to for clearer understanding, so that you can build up that family, which is the goal, to build up a
Exactly.
happy home and a family.
Yes. I love this.
So I
Yes.
think people need to actually put that importance. They need to put that importance at home to say, okay, having success at the office, whether you like to admit it or not, depends on being successful at home in your marital life as well. Because if you're having a bad marriage or toxic relationship, your home is in chaos, I doubt you will be productive at work. So it's the truth. They're connected.
Also, even if, I would just want to add to that, even if there are people who they might be able to, put a difference between the home life and the work life, and let's just assume that they might actually, thrive at work, but not as much at home. I believe that, even if they get a promotion, let's say at work or whatever, they would not be as happy as if they would have a happy marriage at home, and a partner who would actually support them in getting that promotion. And
Yeah.
even if they would get it, then at least they would go home and celebrate it with them, because
Yeah.
it would be a good thing for both of them and the unit as a whole.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you think would be, let's assume someone, I mean, you said you're married for 10 years, which I think is great, for to be married for so long and to still,
Yeah.
have that relationship
Yeah.
growing. What would be,
Yeah.
an advice you would like to give to your younger self, or let's say to your children, when they are just starting a relationship and they're just at the beginning of either the relationship or the marriage itself, what advice would you give to them that, would help them keep the relationship happy for longer?
I think this is something that we hear often. It's not a new thing. It's just commitment requires effort from both parties. As in, it's work. It's not fun, yay, happy, happy. People tend to have that false notion of what a relationship is about, all about. There will be times you'll have difficulties. There will be times you'll be angry. There will be times you'll be mad. But you should focus on the goal. The goal is got married or you're in a relationship with this person. Deep down inside, you're in love with the person. You love the person. You care for the person. And that is why you started a relationship initially to start up. So if you look at all positive rounds, it's a work in progress. There is no 100% happy relationship, and people should stop comparing themselves to other couples, especially with this whole social media thing now. You see a happy couple snapping on vacation, and then you say, ah, I wish my relationship was like this. No, you don't know what they're going through.
Exactly.
Maybe even before that photo shoot, they had a big fight. Maybe even after
Exactly.
the photo shoot, they didn't speak to themselves the entire day or for the next 2 weeks. So every relationship has its own difficulty and challenges because you're bringing two people from different backgrounds. There will always be objections. There will always be differences. There will always be arguments. But the most important thing is to sit down, have a discussion to say, okay, this is what I think. This is what I want. This is what we should do. As far as there's that alignment and both parties are willing to work it out, it will always be a sustaining relationship that will be filled with happy moments as well, more than sad moments. So that's just it. Truth, no fairy tale to relationships. It's work. That's the
I love it.
basic
I love
rule.
this. I think, couples
Yeah.
tend to put
Yes.
so much effort at the beginning of the relationship and until they conquer that person that they like and love,
Yes.
that they forget to continue at least a
Yeah.
part of that later on. They put all this effort in the beginning, and after that they think, okay, now I can just relax, sit back,
Yes.
and the relationship will just be happy by itself. And I think a lot of it has to do with also.
Autopilot.
Yeah, exactly. And I think a lot of it has to do with movies as well, and
Yeah.
romantic movies. Now, I love movies myself, and especially the romantic ones. I think they're very nice. But what they don't show is what's happening afterwards. Because usually in movies they show you, like
Yes.
they meet, there is a problem, they fix the problem, they end up together, and there you go, a happy ending. And they either stay
Yes.
together, or they get married at the end of the movie, or something happens, but they don't show you what happens afterwards, like 5 years in, 10 years in. How did they make it that far? What did they do on
Yeah.
on the daily basis,
Yeah.
basically?
So that's that. Like you just hit it spot on there because most of these romantic movies and novels and books focuses on the good moments and actually focus on the challenging moments where the work needs to be put in. Where so people tend to think I should be happy all the time. And most times at the initial point, like you pointed out, a relationship, I sometimes phrase it as the honeymoon phase because
Yes.
then it's just like happy, happy, you just a lot of emotions. But then after some years, life kicks in. And man, you have challenges, you have challenges at work, you have financial challenges, you have home challenges. Maybe luckily, fortunately, if you have a kid or two, children come with their own challenges. So these things start to wear on both parties, and that is when communication and working together comes in really important, and even the initial point, because at the initial point is just, let me just use the term carefree, so to speak. So everything just seems easy and rosy. So I
Yes.
think that is where people tend to miss the line. And frankly, to say the truth, some people don't want to put in the work. That's just the truth. Because if you're married to somebody, and then, unless there's a situation where there's a threat of life or the relationship breaks down to a toxic relationship and all that, okay, then fine. Breaking up can be understood. But in most scenarios, according to research I found out from some marriage coaches, in most scenarios, marriages that end up in divorces could have been saved if both partners were ready to work it
Exactly.
out. Because,
Exactly.
yeah, because down the line, if you ask both partners what really was the main cause of this divorce, most people can't really say anything to hold on to say, okay, this is the one thing. It's just tiny, tiny things that could have been worked on. So that's just it.
Exactly. A lot of tiny things
Yeah.
that tended to build up over years, and they never addressed them, they
Yes.
never sorted them out. They just build up to a point where at least one of them said, okay, you know what, I'm fed up, I'm out.
Yeah, exactly. And even if you say you're fed up, you're out, what's the guarantee that the next one will be successful if you don't put in the
Exactly.
work?
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. I love
so
this. Yes, that's
that
true. How soon did you guys had children after you got married?
wow, took a while. Think about my wife conceived, as in so. Um, the reasons are not. It's a mixture of a lot of different things, as in due to delay, due to some things we wanted to work out.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we look back at it and say maybe we should have started earlier. But then again, like I said, I don't have any regrets because I think that those first 4 years were really helped us to actually kind of shore the foundation a bit of the relationship because the initial point after the honeymoon phase, there are a lot of disagreements. I call that the what do I call it now? The learning phase when you start seeing the real picture of your partner.
Exactly.
Is exactly when you start seeing the real person that you're in a relationship with. So the whole fantasy lens or whatever blinds us off now. So at least that period gave us time to actually learn to learn to be a little bit more, should I say, persistent, to be more
Hmm.
bearing, to be more understanding, to say, okay, yes, this is the kind of person she is, this is the kind of person he is, and it helps us to learn more about ourselves. And then when the children came, brought his own challenges as well. And like I said, every day is a work in progress. Something that we
Yes.
need to sit
So
down, discuss,
the
and all
reason
that.
why the reason why I've actually asked about, when did you guys started having children was just to, get to this point, like, what were the difference in the communication style that you guys had when it was just the two of you, and how did that change, if it has changed now that you also have children, and therefore more added stress and more added, chores as well that you guys need to do every day.
Yes, there's been some major changes because kids. If we're just the two of us, words we want to use. I mean, when you're really angry, you want to express yourself. When they're children, you tend to be a little bit guarded because you don't want to uh, let them see you fighting too much or using some certain words that they are not supposed to learn how to use, at least at their age.
Yeah.
So I think when they're kids, it brings on more responsibility for you to, even when you're angry as a parent. As far as the children are in the house, you learn to know how to manage that anger and manage the kind of words you use to express your anger. Then maybe when you and your partner go to your room, then you now know how to sort it out. Or when the kids are out of the house, maybe they go to school or something. So having children brings in a lot of changes because then your attention is also divided. It's not just on your partner alone. You also have to pay attention to your children's needs. And that is where sometimes having kids can be overwhelming on parents because, like you said, both parties can tend to abandon some of the activities that they were so engaged in that was keeping them close and focus on the children to try to make them happier. But I always say that sometimes it's good, no matter if you have children, to plan out time with your partner to say, okay, maybe once a week we can have couple time at least to
Mhm.
discuss between ourselves and know how to build up that relationship once again because children can take a toll on a relationship, is the fact. And if you don't have that conscious effort to always keep building the relationship,
I love this.
it's going to lead to a strain.
Yes.
It's going to lead to a strain on the relationship between you and your partner.
So the reason why I'm asking is because we've been married with my husband for a few years now, but we don't have children yet, and we're just thinking of
Okay.
starting a family now. And that's why I wanted to know what is the difference, because right now how my relationship is, we're really happy with each other. Everything is like great because it's just
Yeah.
the two of us. Whatever we want to do,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
can just do it because we don't have anything else keeping us, in one place.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
also because we actually took time to get to know each other because when we first met, we dated for very little time, I would say, which is like about 6 months. And 6 months in, we were already married. Because we got
Wow.
married super fast. And one of my colleagues, actually, with who I used to work with, he actually said, "Also, you got married, and then you're starting to get to know each other." And although it was like, said as a joke, I was actually, yes, that was what we've kind of done.
Yeah.
And now we got to a point where when we're like, okay, now I think it's time to, have children as well. And
Yeah.
I just wanted to know, how do you make that transition? You see, how do you still keep a relationship and also have children and raise them and, take care of them and all of that? And I really love the fact that you said, that you still have to consciously put effort into your relationship and also,
Yeah.
put time aside to
Yeah.
have alone time only with your partner. I really love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's really important.
what do you guys do? Do you guys do anything else other than just having, date nights together?
Okay, fine. Date nights, we have that at least once a week, and then we also have time to sit down and just talk
Hmm.
and talk, play around, maybe watch a movie at home on Netflix. Engage in some sort of activities that will make us spend time and talk together. So of course it's not as easy when children are in the house. Most times when we want to have such activities also, if it's date nights, we know we are out, we go out.
Hmm.
If we want to have a time alone when we're in the house, most times it's at night when the kids are maybe have gone to bed. Then we sit down, maybe talk, have a movie, play a game, any sort of activity that will make us spend time and talk together and think about things that we're planning to do, set goals, set objectives for the next maybe 6 months or 1 year for us and the family and all that. It becomes much more of a work. Let me use that term when kids are available, because then you know that you're not just planning for yourselves, you and your partner alone, you're also planning for your kids as well.
Hmm.
So it brings up more responsibilities and more thoughtful planning into discussions between you and your partner. It's fun to have children. I love my kids. They bring life to the house. Even when we go out to have fun, maybe we travel after a day or two, we start missing them and say, I want to see, let's go. Then we go. We're happy to go back home and they are happy to see us. So it's just that most times people tend to forget that when you have children, that is even when you need to put in more effort in building your relationship with your partner, because you
I
can
love
just be
this.
carried away with the euphoria and say, oh yeah, I have a child now, a lovely, beautiful child. I just feel like eating you up. That
Yeah.
is that affection shifts towards the child from both parties. And it's natural because to see a part of you in another living being. But while that euphoria is there, that focus, that love for that child is there, you also need to also put in that constant effort to say, okay, reminder to your partner that yes, I love my child, but I've not stopped loving you as well as my partner.
I
So
love this.
that is where that's where the work comes in, because it's not really like I said right now, like you said, you guys are still in the honeymoon phase. To
Yes.
me, in my own opinion, yeah, you're still in the honeymoon phase because you're just worried about both parties, you and your
Yeah.
partner. That's all. Nothing else
Exactly.
again, just you and your husband. Once children starts coming in, you have to think of well-being, health, school, physical activity for the child. Yeah, so there's a way you have to now make everything interwoven to involve every member of the family in most of these activities, so that to build
Yeah.
up that bond and union for the family.
I love that. And also, I believe it's very important for, a married couple to, and even if they're not married, even if they're just together and having children, I think it's very important for, the parents to still have time for themselves and work on their relationship, because this way, they also teach the children
Yeah,
that the relationship is important and you need to, constantly work
yeah,
on it for it to be good, rather than, them growing up with the idea that, oh, my
yes,
parents have been together
exactly.
and they're happy, but they haven't done anything on their relationship. Because I truly believe that, most of the things that we know
Yeah, yeah,
today about relationships are from either, our parents or our caregivers, that where we grew up, or family maybe, or friends even, so I think, because I was thinking, even
yeah.
when I had my previous relationships and they didn't work out, and I started analyzing my behavior and everything, and I started, asking myself, where do I have those ideas from? How did I get to those ideas? And then I started analyzing the relationships I've seen growing up, and then it made a lot of sense why I would make certain, let's say, mistakes in previous relationships. And this was before I actually started to, educate myself on relationships and how to grow basically a good relationship.
No, definitely, no doubt. And the environment has its impact on our relationships as well. Because, like we said, there's an old African saying that it takes a village to raise a child. So it's not just impact of your family or your parents. There's also the impact of your friends, impact of what you see on TV, internet, social media. So everything has an impact on how you view relationship. But the most important thing, fact there is that no matter what the impact has been, you can unlearn if the
Yes.
impact is negative. Yeah.
Yes.
And relearn positives. So if you are fortunate that you grew up in a loving family, parents in love, great, good for you because you've already seen what a loving relationship can build. So good, that's good for you. But unfortunately, if you are not fortunate enough to grow up in a home where both parents were there, you grew up, you viewed all that, then you would have to actually work it out on your own to say, okay, yes, I want to put in this effort. I want to learn from people, read materials, read books, because sometimes even when you think you know your partner well, in truth, you never really know them as well as you think you do.
Exactly.
You can know yourself, yeah, you can know yourself, but to know another human being entirely, it's quite challenging. It takes, like we said, communication, opening up, learning, and all these things. So you have to read books or take seminars, talk to people once in a while. If a relationship needs counseling, things that can help your relation. And counseling doesn't always mean you have to go and sit in front of a marriage counsel or whatever. It could be an elderly person who's married or a friend. Anybody can give you tips or advice, and that's why I always think that, of course, you shouldn't bring people into your marital home as in interferences, but you can always get one or two tips from books, people that can just help you to take the right direction in your relationships.
I love this. I love this so much. And I think you're right. Like on all counts that you said today, I agree with all of them.
Yeah, yeah, thank you.
So, thank you so much for making time today to have this interview with us, and to share some of your knowledge with our audience. Where can they find more about you and to find you? If they want to listen more of what you have to say.
Okay. So thank you very much. It's an honor to be on this show as well. Like I said, I'm Simon. I have a website as well, blog slash a business website, digital marketing service provider. So you can go there, www.simblockshare.com. You can also reach me on LinkedIn. My name is the Simon Isoa, Head Podcasts. You can check it, and if you like it, subscribe and follow. It's on all the major podcast platforms. It's on Spotify, it's on Apple, and all the other Google. I always interview guests there on a weekly basis, people from all walks of life. entrepreneurs, is health practitioners, development in life. So that I'll also drop you my links so that you can put it in the
Definitely.
footnotes if in
I
case
will,
anybody wants to
yes.
reach out to
So
me
exactly, I
for
will
my
put all of
services or
Simon's
just to follow
links.
me on the podcast. Or
Yes, I will put all of Simon's links in the description box below as well if you guys want to reach out to him or to listen to his podcast as well. And again, thank you for coming on today. And just before I go, don't forget, guys, if you want to
thank you for
get
having me.
if you want to have if you want to get the Better Topics app, you can do so either on Google Play or on Apple Store as well.